Hello, hello. We are back, 70s Daydreams, and today we're going to talk about a short film. I cannot really pronounce the director's name, and I probably can't really pronounce the title. I think it's Krabi. I'm not sure.
Right, it's in Czech.
It's in Czech.
We both do not speak Czech.
Yes, but it is about crabs. And yeah, do you want to give a little brief overview of it, Alder?
So basically there we have a kind of like a military scientist guy and his assistant. And they are building an army of self-replicating crabs. And it kind of just goes from there.
I would love self-replicating crabs. Bring them the crab feast, hon. Okay. No, these are not. These are like metal, like robotic crabs. Yeah.
Right? And there's no dialogue in this one at all.
My fave.
Right. This is one thing that I wanted to talk about. This one is, it seems like the music almost builds as animated with the crabs, and then it starts into like a music scene with like a dream sequence.
Yeah.
But mostly it's not. There's not music in it either.
Yeah,
Is that what you would say?
There was like a lot of like sort of sound effects, and then it sort of was like mirroring what was happening, and then it goes into this sort of more symbolic music, or if that makes sense, where it's supposed to like evoke a mood, and then it goes back. I do think there was like kind of like a soundtrack that was sort of like ominous, like when things were turning more dire.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of confused about the music for the dream sequence because I couldn't tell if his dream was like a good dream or a nightmare.
Right.
Like, was he like realizing, oh no, I've messed up. I shouldn't have made the crabs.
Mm-hmm. Or was he saying like, oh, this is kind of my plan all along. I don't like humanity or something like that. I'm so glad that you said what you said about the music though. And I was like, I knew you'd have the right words for the music, because it was almost something like I couldn't put words to what I thought the music was in this. It's so background, but then it's so there and interesting. So just talking about maybe some imagery that stood out to you in the animation of this, is there anything that like pops out that really stuck with you?
Well, like the faces of like the scientist, like the two scientists were they were kind of creepy looking. I was trying to figure out how they actually did it. For some reason, it reminded me a little bit of Angela Anaconda. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh my gosh, that's it. I was trying to figure out the whole time. Yeah.
That's like I guess like late 90s, early 2000s Canadian cartoon. Really good. I definitely recommend checking it out. But yeah, like, so their faces are like gray and they look kind of, I don't want to say they look realistic, but they're like very expressive and
like a lot of shading going on.
Yeah, a lot of shading. So like not your typical like cartoony looking face. But I don't know. The movements they weren't like flowy or anything. They were kind of, it almost looks like it might have been like paper cutouts. I mean, I don't think it was, but something about it like reminded me of Angela Anaconda, because their faces are all kind of gray too.
Yeah,
because I think they might be based off of like photographs.
Yeah,
something.
Maybe that's what these are as well. But yet also they were really jagged kind of movements, like you said. They weren't flowy. Yeah. Especially
like the main mad scientist, his like teeth. He had this like sort of like devilish grin. It was very,
yeah, I noted the teeth too, and then that becomes like a plot point later on. But
we will spare you the very details.
Toothy.
Very toothy. And I really like the texture. Like there's a lot of like boulders and rocks. I guess they were on some type of islands.
And it was almost desert-like, maybe I would say. There was, as far as like the color scheme, lots of like oranges and grays and like browns. Even the two main characters, they're both wearing orange in some form. Like the assistant has like fatigues on. Maybe it looks like, to me, they look like fatigues for like desert operations or something like that. He looked more like a soldier to me.
Yeah, I mean, this definitely didn't seem like a legal project that they were working on. It seemed like they had to go to some clandestine spot to do this. But so we got to so the crabs are like reproducing. So they're like eating this metal and then like creating more of themselves. But then they start turning on each other and start like eating each other, which was,
Yeah,
it
and
was
how many
something.
iterations of like a crab you can animate was pretty impressive to me. Like how they all look crab like, but they're also different, and then you
Yeah.
kind of get to crab ultimate at the
Yes.
end.
Yeah, the Godzilla crab, he sort of goes on this rampage and yeah, he's like looking for more stuff to eat, but he can't really find any more metal. He does sort of go after the two mad scientists. Spoiler, but so the main mad scientist he gets ixnayed by the Crabzilla, but the other one manages to escape via a like blow up raft.
Right
Yeah.
after undressing
Yeah.
and sacrificing the buttons on the fatigues or whatever kind of clothing they were.
Yeah, they must have
wearing.
been like metal because the crab was trying to go after any type of metal, and yeah, and then so basically after exhausting all of the material, the crab can't find any more metal to eat. So then they turn to themselves and they like tear off their limbs and start eating that, and then they start to sort of fall apart and then combust, and that's the end.
Yeah, auto cannibalism is, I think, the word that I looked up for that. I was like, oh, interesting. That needs to have its own
Interesting.
definition. And also one of the motifs that was interesting in it is like the way that the animation started was like this metal that like broke apart with like that clang sound, and then it ended with the metal fusing back together into like a solid piece of metal with the same or similar sound.
Oh.
So it was like a curtain almost. It was like a metal curtain.
Yeah.
Iron curtain?
Iron
Is
curtain.
that,
That's it. And now that you mentioned that, do you think maybe it was like the Crabzilla's mouth? Because like at like the big crab, their mouth opens like sideways, kind of.
Right. And whenever they bit on the metal, there were like stars that happened, and that like crunching sound. And
Yeah.
it could definitely be their mouth, I think.
Yeah, maybe we were like being eaten by the crab.
Well, it did eat me in a way. Like I kept thinking about this long after we watched it. Or I watched it for the first time and then we rewatched it again. But like, yeah, I was saying, I just kept thinking about just different aspects of it, and it's haunting in a way. I can't say that there's like some larger meaning that I take out of it, but it definitely has like a staying power to it for me personally.
Yeah, I mean, I was wondering if it had something to do with like overconsumption or like or like, I don't know if maybe not overpopulation, but there was something about consuming, right? Like a lot of these, like La Faim, which we did, was also about consumption. And yeah, it's just interesting how like there's more and more of these crabs, but then they turn on each other, and it's like I'm trying to figure out if it's like some type of statement on like exhausting materials. Like I don't know.
Yeah, like resource management,
Yeah.
or I mean, there's definitely a militaristic aspect to this in more ways than one, and maybe having to do with like destruct. Okay, so going back to this like dream sequence that we were talking about with the music, and was it a dream that like that was a bad dream? Was it a nightmare? Like, you know, and I think that like understanding that maybe would help me to
Like place it.
yeah,
you
to
know?
place it better, right?
Yeah, so so the dream sequence, the mad scientist, like he's dreaming of like all of these crabs sort of being like birth, like almost like a conveyor belt, and like they all come out, and then I don't know if it was all of them or some or one of them, but they start like it looked like attacking cities. Like there was this bridge that the crabs
eating like ships and trains and tanks and like all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so I was like, is this to I mean, if it's eating like tanks and stuff, is like, okay, I've created something that can like end war or
Right.
something. But then, like, why are you eating the bridge? And I don't know if there was a building.
And there were like silhouettes of people's bodies like falling from the sky in some of the flashes, and then those like abstract kind of like like I don't even know how to describe them, like flashes of kind of art that was like abstracted together.
Yeah, there was like a face in it, and I couldn't tell if it was like the crab's face or not. So I guess the thing is like trying to figure out like what was the mad scientist's motive? Like, was he like, why did he create the crabs in the first place? Was he trying to have them overrun civilization or a certain part of civilization? But then at first watching, I was like, oh, maybe the dream is him realizing what he's done. And then he wakes,
Yeah.
he was like, oh no, maybe I shouldn't have done this. But why would the music be so serene then? Because the music was a stark contrast from like the more kind of like ominous, like creepy, like industrial. And then I don't know, there was,
I found the music to be kind of sad the first time that I watched
Yeah.
it. And then the second time it seemed more like soft and dreamy and like hopeful in a way. I don't know. It was
Yeah.
hard to place for me.
yeah. And like the scientist doesn't really have that many like facial expressions outside of just looking deranged. So I couldn't tell if like when he woke up, he was like, oh no, or oh yeah, or like, I don't know. I couldn't read his face at all.
Right.
And then he meets his demise by what he's created, sort of, you know, that trope of the inventor being overtaken by their own creation. And I wanted to ask you. So the second scientist, he's always spitting. I was like curious what that was about.
Oh, I didn't notice he was spinning. Like,
Spitting.
oh, spitting. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did notice that. Yeah, I was wondering too, like, is it like trying to like absolve himself or of like just being like, I'm not a part of this. And then he like yeets out of there. He's
Yeah.
gone. Like,
Yeah, sort of being sort of like, ugh, I'll help you, but you know, this is a dumb idea. Because it's a disrespectful gesture, you know,
right.
I would assume.
Yeah. But I guess I didn't perceive him to be a scientist. I perceived him to be like some kind of soldier or something, but mainly because of the attire. But also the way that his face is like, has no expression on it, but it's very different than the scientist having no expression, because his was like a deranged, no
Yeah.
expression. And then the soldier or, you know, helper was more of like a blank, like what you would think about in front of Buckingham Palace. Like I don't move my face at all. Like
Yeah.
type of,
Like he didn't seem like he definitely didn't like the project that he was working on
Yeah.
with the scientist. Yeah, he seems maybe like reluctant, or I don't know. He was very hard to read, or maybe he was just sort of there and checked out. But yeah, like the spitting was interesting. I was like, I don't know. But it was sort of like a nice sort of like character trait. I don't know. It just kind of like added a little bit of depth. I was like, huh, why is he doing that? Because, you know, you don't have any dialogue. So like,
Right.
that's one of the ways he expresses himself.
one of the main parts of the animation that I really enjoyed, actually two of them. So when the crabs like are going up that metal structure and it like disintegrates kind of in that frame by frame way. And then also when the helper soldier is inflating the raft, it also does that same kind of like where you're almost like missing frames. It looks like you're missing frames. And I liked the way that looked a lot. It was
like a
interesting
flip book or something. Like, yeah.
Right. It works well with the jaggedness of the rest of it.
Yeah, at first when he was blowing up that raft, I didn't know what he was doing.
Me neither.
And I like the little sequence of him throwing the raft and then jumping onto it. He like jumps onto it like right after he throws it. He doesn't like wait for it to hit the water.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, the movement was very interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like a good looking animation. It's unsettling. I wouldn't say it's like disturbing, but it's unsettling. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess probably one would have to take into account like what was going on politically or culturally at the time in the Czech Republic. But Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's worth watching. I would definitely rewatch it again.
Oh, it's definitely. One thing I did come across, like when I was researching, that didn't find much, but that the animation is actually based on a short story from 1958, so called "Crabs on the Island," which I didn't find further information about that. But I wonder, like politically, if really the 50s are really like kind of the way that you'd look to figure this out more. I'm not sure that I need to figure it out. I kind of just like it as it is, and
Yeah.
which is kind of strange for me. That's like my MO is like I need to figure it out. Like that's part of the joy of it. But this one just kind of exists, and I like it, and it's like visually intriguing.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's like a very clear story. It's just not necessarily, I just don't know exactly what it is. What is it commenting on? But I think that's okay. And maybe one day we will find out or not.